My name is Anthony Wills and I'm the founder and managing director of Kilchoman Distillery. Whiskey to me is my whole life now, really. You know, single malt wasn't so huge it is now, and when I got involved in the whiskey industry it was just starting to take off. Sort of the late 90s, and I saw an opportunity, really. For me, I'm astounded every day with the enthusiasm and the collectors and how many people are now interested in whiskey and single malt whiskey, but from whiskey from all over the world. I suppose for me it's been about being in the right place at the right time, starting the distillery just as the boom started. My wife has been involved in the business right from the word go. As we needed more people to do the sales and marketing, all my sons have got marketing degrees, so that helped. And then it was a natural progression. When we needed more people, they were interested in getting involved. They now look after all the sales and marketing around the world, and that frees me up to build the business from here. And I think actually family businesses are few and far between, and so to have a family-run distillery is quite unique now in the industry. Starting the farm distillery, I needed a point of difference. I needed a uniqueness. If I'd built another distillery like all the other distilleries in Scotland, I would have been lost, I would have thought. So we needed to have a unique selling point, and mine was about locating it on a farm where we could grow the malting barley and do the whole production process, or a limited amount of it on site. Being a farm distillery is totally unique, and I do believe that as the industry's grown, the traditions of distilling have been lost. As more people were interested in single malt, I wanted to take whiskey back to its roots and showcase what distilleries are all about 200 years ago. I think the fact that we have this one product called 100% Islay embodies what Kilchoman is about. 100% Islay to us, our philosophy is very much that we grow the barley, we malt the barley, we distill it, we mature it, and we bottle it here on site. And that is unique. There are, of course, other distilleries that do floor maltings, and Springbank down in Campbelltown do the whole production process on site. But no one can really argue that we're the only distillery that grows its own barley to do the whole process on site. To me, that embodies what Kilchoman is all about, and the message that we're putting out there, that we are this small farm distillery that can showcase every part of the production process. What I love most about whiskey is the people in the industry. We're like a small family, and certainly as the more of the independent companies have become into the distilling business, we follow each other around the world, we help each other with distribution. There's a huge amount of camaraderie in the industry, which even from the big guys is still there. And here on Islay, all the other distilleries are owned by big multinational companies. And as a small player, we were a tiny player. We had an enormous amount of help from the other members of the industry when we first started. I think they all thought we were completely mad. Here on Islay, we're the first new distillery for 124 years. So why would some guy from England come up here and build a distillery? But I think it's proved that, that there is room for the small guy as well as the big guy in the industry. We've encountered many problems and issues on our journey in the last 12 years. Primarily the biggest problem we had was funding. To fund a new startup distillery is very expensive, as everyone now is aware of, because so many new distilleries are starting. To raise the initial funding was very, very difficult. I didn't raise enough, and I took a huge risk in starting this distillery when I knew I hadn't raised the money. But I felt the only way I was going to do that was actually build it and then encourage potential investors to come and have a look, and it did work, fortunately for us. There wasn't really another distillery that I could go to and ask about how to build a new distillery. So we made lots of mistakes, and we probably spent about £500,000 more than we should have done in using second-hand boilers and the wrong steam pipes, and then it was the kiln that caught fire. Because we were using coke and anthracite to dry the barley down when we should have put in a warm air drying system, but we didn't have the funds. So, the initial years were very stressful. We were continually running out of money. We managed to keep going, and the key for us was that our spirit was of a character that Jim Swan, who was really my mentor, who helped me hugely in putting the whole project together. When the stills ran for the first time in November 2005, he just turned to me and said, if we look after this spirit, you'll be able to release it in 3 years' time. And I think that was the turning point. And if I'd started this distillery in the 90s instead of 2005, it wouldn't have worked. It just wouldn't have had the success. So being able to release it at 3 years of age and then continue to release since then, turned the business around much quicker than we imagined. And we have gone from strength to strength in terms of sales. And, I put that down to the big guys, because they're the ones that go out and promote and market whiskey around the world, and done that for many, many years. And it's allowed us here to just come in on their slipstream and have something slightly different, new distillery, and Islay being the key thing, that building here was the key decision we made. I think the obstacles going forward for us are clear. It's about having enough production to meet the demand for sales. And there are two arguments. You either sort of sit where you are, and in 4 or 5 years' time we'd have to allocate our stock to the markets, or we decide to grow the business and produce enough for demand. Now, we're never going to, and that's about looking forward. I have 3 sons, and I'm very proud of the fact that they're now involved in the business. And for me, it's about leaving a legacy for them to take on to the next stage. I think our goal for the future is to increase production, primarily for a 100% Islay release, which is very, very important to the distillery, and in terms of it's our being. It's why we're here. And so we're building a new kiln, so that we can double production of the barley that we malt ourselves. So we're increasing production of the barley that we harvest, that we now own the farm. So we're now growing about 170 tonnes this year, and the new kiln will be ready to get operation later this year. So that means, in a way, that we can get back to the level of production for 100% Islay to about 25-30% of total production. But we're not stopping there, because we also feel that we've built a brand in a very small way, and we don't want to just stop where we are. And so we are looking at doubling production in terms of building another still house, replicating everything we've got here in this still house, and putting in another 6 washbacks. We're at maximum production with the equipment we've got now, so we're 7 days a week, 2 shifts, and we don't want to stop there. We think that Kilchoman is beginning to get some traction in a small way, and we don't want to be in a position in 5 or 6 years' time when we have to allocate all our stock. So we do have plans to do that. It's very early stages, but you'll be hearing more about it in the future. Where I'd like to see the Scotch whisky industry move is to be the more clarity and transparency. I think that's a theme that's running through a lot of the new and privately owned distilleries. I think we would like to move closer to giving more information, similar to what Compass Box are doing, and Brewick Laddie have stated as well. I think it's good news for everybody to know what they're purchasing. And if it's non-age statement, then why shouldn't you be able to tell people what's in that batting? The old argument about non-age statement and age statement is going to go on raging forever and a day. We haven't got any age statements, so we should be able to tell everybody what's in the bottle.